Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I am Oriah Mirza, Lady O, and this is Dennis Strahl. Hi, Dennis.
Well, hello, Oriah. I'm excited about doing our episode 10.
Yeah,
I
can
think
you
we've
believe
got a lot of
it? Episode
we have a lot of
10.
really interesting things to talk about here
I
in
know.
this episode.
I know.
Almost don't know where to start. One of the things, folks, that we're going to start including is somewhere towards the end of each episode, maybe mixed in a little bit in between.
Yes.
But we're going to tell you a little bit about what's going on, where you can access other information. If you're new to the UFO, venue or whatever you want to call it, and I don't know that much about it. I'm not sure I believe in them. When you start doing a little bit of research, you'll be amazed at what is out there. And so we're going to go into a little bit of that information a little bit later and direct you to other podcasts and television shows as well, where you'll go, oh my gosh, I had no idea that there are thousands, perhaps millions of people on this planet right now that are having sightings on a regular basis.
Yeah, and to explore.
And a lot of them get it on video.
Yes, and to explore and do a deep dive so you can find out even more from experts who talk about ufology. But I want to say that, Dennis and I were talking off camera how people don't really know. I mean, some people do, but there's some people who don't really know what's the importance of talking about aliens and UFOs and hybrids and walk-ins and upgrades. People are like, okay, what is this? Like, they think it's just sensationalism. They think it's just conspiracy theories. They think it's just like, they don't really know the gravity or the emotional impact or the psychological impact or as a society why it's important. But if you do any kind of anthropology or any kind of like historical digging, you're going to find out in the cave walls from the beginning of time, there have been star people in every single civilization. And there is in our rock walls, you can actually see star people and their ships visiting. And if you do any research into science, you'll find out that there was a lot of things that came to our planet that there was no way we were able to figure out on our own.
So, a side note on that, and that's a very good point, Oriah, is probably one of the most famous guys around that has been on many, many, many episodes of Ancient Aliens is Eric von Däniken. Mm-hmm. And he was one of the first ones that started traveling, to Machu Picchu and to Egypt and to all these different, ancient ruins. And then you find carved right into solid rock. Gee, this little guy looks like a modern day astronaut. He's got a helmet on.
Right.
He's got some sort of a bodysuit on. He looks just like literally a modern day astronaut that you'd see, climbing onto the shuttle for the U.S. for NASA. Mm-hmm. And that same little guy looks exactly the same around the world, carved into solid rock.
Yeah.
And so Eric von Däniken would say, either there was one guy traveling all around the world 5,000 years ago, carving this same little astronaut, or multiple people had identical imagination.
Yeah, right.
Highly unlikely, right?
Yes.
So you have to ask yourself, or did they all see the same thing? All independent, separate artists, but they all saw the same thing, and that's why they carved the same thing. And these are like 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 years old. So how do we explain that?
Exactly. And, on a philosophical front, this is also something Dennis and I talk about, since we both believe in the power of self-creation and the power of storytelling and actually collective consciousness coming together and creating storylines. There's not one story that's not true and one story that is true in regards to alien interactions or alien agendas. Everything from the reptilian agenda to anything else that you can possibly think of, any rabbit hole you've possibly have been down, it all leads you to the same conclusion, is that there's different storylines and different conclusions that different civilizations, cultures, societies come together and agree upon. And it doesn't mean that they're right, wrong, who's right, who's wrong, who has the best information. We truly believe that this is a multi-dimensional reality we're experiencing. So we also believe that there's many timelines, there's many dimensions, there's many stories. Could they all be true? They could all be true. Could some of them be made up? They can be made up. We don't know, but the fact remains that we know that there's been UFO actual ships that have crashed. There's been aliens that have been dissected. There's witnesses that have come forward. I mean, Dennis, you know a lot about that.
Yes, yes. You know, and something else I just want to interject that I thought about before we went on the air here. So I asked AI. Some people say, well, you know, and I'm not criticizing people that read the Bible. I was raised as a Protestant myself, okay? But some of you maybe have heard the term Nephilim. And that's spelled Nephilim. Well, the Nephilim are mentioned in the Bible. And what's kind of peculiar about that, I asked AI earlier today, where are the Nephilim mentioned in the Bible? And it says Genesis 6, 1 through 4. This is the earliest and most direct reference. It describes the Nephilim as the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old and men of renown. Genesis 6, 4. So where were the Nephilim from? Right. The Bible doesn't tell us that.
Exactly.
And there was a bunch of them, and they were making love with human women.
There you go. And there's your first
and bearing children.
Your first hybridization program right there.
There you go.
And
so I just wanted to bring forward to the fact that, you know, there are actually references in the Bible that hint at people from other planets or beings from other planets a long time ago, including during biblical times. And then you look at all of how these cathedral paintings way high on the ceilings all throughout Europe. And you look up there and it looks like, wait a minute, that one little thing up there, it looks like
they have like
UFO.
Little disc, little ships are actually floating in the air.
Yes.
And they even show them shooting across. And
yes.
Yeah. So, you know, it's not about, you know, being convinced that there's UFOs, because if you're watching the show, I can guarantee you that you don't have to be convinced, because if you've already watched any of our programs or have seen anything we do, you know that we're way far past that part of the conversation. But really what it is psychologically, like, what is the reason and the purpose that us humans need to be involved with, interested in, or exploring the idea that we interact with aliens? Like, why is that important? And, you know, for all we know, for what people don't understand, is that we could be getting upgraded, not just the ones like myself who remember my upgrade, or alien, or Dennis, who has actually been taken in a ship and returned in a different destination. But it could actually be that while you're sleeping, you're doing astral travel, or you're leaving your body, or your body's being worked on. I mean, there's so many theories and speculations about what happens in upgrades, right, Dennis? From like people saying
absolutely.
that there's like the moon is hollow and you're being upgraded there. Some people say that. Some people say they just take you and bring you back, or they work on you right there in your car or in your room or in your living room. And there's so many stories from many people.
And so many stories that correlate too, you know. I'll bring forward here again the fact that you recently had another regression hypnosis session that regressed you back to an on-ship experience that you had. And it was with a hypnotist that happens to specialize in that, as well as past life regressions. You can also have a regression and go back to an on-ship
Barbara
experience.
Lamb.
But what I find interesting about that is, if you listen to there's a lot of videos by Dolores Cannon, who actually was the initiator of past life regression hypnosis sessions. Clear back in the 60s, she started doing it, way back. But she's done thousands of sessions with people that had onboard experiences. And in addition to people leaving on their astral body, just like you just mentioned, she says, I have many people that tell me, oh, they just dematerialized me right through the ceiling and right through my roof and right up to the ship, and they returned me the same way.
Right.
And she says, she's listened to thousands of cases like that around the world, were clients of hers. And she says, when they all describe exactly the same thing, none of these people know each other. They don't know each other. One's in Australia, one's in France, one's in England, one's in North Dakota, one's in Arkansas, one's in California. These people don't know each other. Well, how are they describing exactly the same experiences?
Right. And what about all the farmers from before even television, when television was just starting to, was in its infancy? There were being, cameras would go out, or a news reporter would go out and interview these farmers from around the world that had interactions, saw ships above their home, ships landing in their field, the crop circles. And, they were so innocent to any of this. And you can see that they're innocent. You can see they're telling the truth.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
well, and very often puzzled. The rancher on whose ranch the Roswell crash took place, if you recall, he was puzzled by what he found. So he called the police, and then the police called the military, and we know the rest of that story. Maybe Oriah and I will talk about that sometime in the future, but there's easy to find. There's plenty of documentary videos right on YouTube for free about Roswell. And then there are so many UFO related TV shows now, but in particular, Ancient Aliens will do a whole episode just about Roswell and interviewing people and the grandson and the son. And, my dad was the one, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of information out there. If you're curious and interested, you'll be amazed when you start digging.
Right.
How much information is out there. And just go into whatever direction you're curious about. Well, now, that sounds like a bunch of bogus stuff to me. So I'm going to focus on that subject. Good. Do that.
Yeah. And, the reason, I can speak for myself, and Dennis, I know you can speak for yourself, but the reason for me that I feel it's important to have these conversations and to understand our extraterrestrial friends, or even not so friendly extraterrestrials, is because it expands our consciousness. I believe it just keeps our mind open to possibilities other than what you see just in front of you, which is so important. And what's really funny to me and ironic is people who are religious have to have, it's a faith-based belief system. So you're already having to believe in things that you cannot see. It's funny.
Absolutely.
It's funny if they draw the line where, well, we cannot see or understand how aliens exist, but we cannot believe that. But we can believe something that doesn't exist or we can't see in the Bible, and we believe that. So it's picking and choosing what you want to believe. And you can't see it with your naked eye most of the time. Now, if you can't see an alien with your naked eye, you are going to be a believer. Trust me. If you ever have that opportunity like I did, you believe it. It changes you for life.
Look how much we can see without a telescope, just looking up into the sky. Okay, we're only able to see a limited amount. But I heard an interesting little analogy related to whether you believe in UFOs or not. And the analogy that was given, like it or not, was I have a teaspoon of ocean water here, and there's no shark in there, so I don't believe in sharks.
Right. Right. Wow. Well, Dennis, it's really interesting. You and I met about, what did we just
About 2010, I think.
2010.
Yeah, right around 2010.
And what was really funny is that, over the years we've spoken to each other, or anytime we ever communicated, we always have the same information. We always know the same things, and we feel the same way about things, which is so interesting because that tells me that this like-mindedness is not just you and I. This is a collective. I believe that all people that have had alien experiences or upgrades or any kind of, been taken, abducted, anything where an extraterrestrial has actually made contact with you, we seem to be getting the same downloads, the same information about that this is a bigger reality. This is more of a multidimensional reality than And you open your feelers, you open your psychic senses to this, and you prepare yourself. Let's talk about your friend. Your friend, whether, I don't know if she believed in UFOs at the time, but recently she was outside her car. This was such an interesting story, and I would like to put the pictures up. She gave us permission to show you. So she
did.
She stepped outside the car, and I'll let you finish telling the story.
Yeah, actually, she was at she's a local real estate agent here in Las Vegas. Been doing it for 21 years, very successful. And she was at an evening yoga class. And she was leaving the class and walking towards her car. and looked up and just noticed, wow, those clouds are really, really beautiful. And so she just decided to snap 3 or 4 photos of the clouds. So she didn't see anything with her naked eye. But once she climbed into the driver's seat to drive home, she's looking at her pictures and she zoomed in and, oh my gosh, there was 3 UFOs.
Now,
She was really baffled.
Yeah, I saw these photos and you saw them, and we looked at it with a scrutinizing eye to make sure it wasn't a lens flare. And, you know, she filmed it accidentally or maybe on purpose in live mode on an iPhone, which means it captured a little bit of movement, which the next time you see her, you're going to do a recording.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so she can hold down the button and see the actual movement. And so it does show the movement and the erratic motion.
And they move very quickly. You know, the thing I point out to people sometimes when you do have UFO sightings, which both Oriah and I have and many other people, is when it's a solid light, whether it's round or saucer shaped. Either way, and it's moving sideways, let's say, rapidly. I've seen them move back and forth across a mountain range top, for example. Well, an airplane can't do that. Even if it had one big headlight, which they don't, they've always got running lights. Even if it had one big headlight, it can't fly sideways across the top of a mountain range.
Right.
I've seen that several times when I used to live in Palm Springs. So Mount San Jacinto is a 10,700 foot mountain. And you see them, you know, flittering back and forth. Well, and a helicopter can't do that either.
Right.
So, and you don't hear any sound, it's silent. So when you see a really, really bright light, and for one thing, you can't hear anything. Normally, most of us know within what kind of a range, distance-wise, that you can hear a helicopter coming, or you can hear an airplane coming or passing by.
Yeah.
We all know what that sounds like, and we all know what the basic range is. When you see a bright light, regardless of the range, and there's absolutely no sound at all. I mean, if any of you that are listening live near a military base, man, you know what, those fighter jets, you can hear them from a long ways away. They are really loud. I mean, it just kind of crackles the sky, with sound.
Right.
And I've spent quite a bit of time in commercial mining, as Oriah knows, just west of Area 51.
Yeah.
So I've seen and heard every kind of military aircraft you can imagine, because within what's called the Nevada test site, which is what contains Area 51 within the test site, there's 4 or 5 military bases just within the Nevada test site. It's huge. And the bottom end is down here close to Las Vegas, but the top edge is 220 miles north of here, is the top edge of the Nevada test site. So, you know, and I've had some sightings here in Nevada that were completely silent and either round or oval shaped lights that were very, very bright.
Yeah.
And I've seen plenty of aircraft during the daytime and heard them. So I know what they all sound like.
Right.
And what I've seen and heard were not conventional aircraft.
Right. And, you know, like when I lived in Malibu on the hill, because there was another house that we lived there when it was on a hill. And
I remember.
Yeah, on Las Flores. And every single night there would be a UFO show. And anybody who was visiting or coming to the circle or anything, they would go out in the point and we'd all get our binoculars out or a telescope. And we'd see one after another, especially because our viewpoint was kind of looking towards Catalina Island, which is a hot spot. And there's a big shelf. There's a big drop off. I think it's like between 4,000 to 6,000 feet deep. And then in Google Images, it shows like right angles, like a man-made structure under the ocean. It looks like it could be big enough to be a base.
I've looked at that on Google Earth before. Google Maps, you can't really see it, but on Google Earth, you can see it.
Oh, right.
You can tilt it down and look at an angle underneath the coast of Malibu there. And it's like, hey, that looks like an entrance of some sort.
Yeah. It's very unusual. And, you know, we have seen UFOs coming out of the water and going back in. We lived there for 7 years, so we were able to see a lot of activity. We were always looking out our windows. We were always out on outside in the backyard looking, and we've taken videos and pictures, and I've made some little compilations and I've put them up on the Mystic podcast. But
good.
Yeah,
Super.
So it's up there. But you know, they come in the form of orbs, they come in the form of ships, and then some are energy orbs or energy like cloaked, invisible ships.
Yes.
But, these beings of higher intelligence, some people speculate, and I do believe to a certain extent, it is us, our civilization in the future. And it's us coming back to visit to help us to evolve. But that's one storyline. And I'm never going to say that's the only storyline because I know there's so many. There's so many. And who knows
you
how
have to
many
consider too, one of the things I think about a lot of times.
Yeah.
Because I think everything is possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that some of the visitors are from another galaxy,
Mm-hmm.
not from the other side of the Milky Way, which is our galaxy, but from another galaxy. And you look at, the U.S. was founded in 1776. Between 1776 and now, look at the technology that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're not doing too well on the spiritual side as far as everybody being peaceful. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we still got wars and everything going on.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say that one of the visiting group of beings is literally 1 million years beyond us.
Yes.
In spiritual development and intellectual development and technological development.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're so far ahead of us. I mean, if they were orbiting in a cloaked ship and listening and watching what's going on here, well, we're not going to land there because look, they still fight amongst themselves on their own planet.
Yep. As long as we come from this duality and this contrast that we are, it's like good versus evil, black versus white, the push and pull, you versus I, it's never us. It's you are over there, I'm over here, the judgment of each other and not accepting each other. As long as we keep having these non-peaceful interactions, it's going to take a while. I don't think it's going to be in our lifetime that we're going to see humanity become so evolved that everybody understands that we're all in this together in a creative structure, a creative force of unity where we're all coming together to create together. It's going to take some time, but I think we're headed in that direction. I just think that it's going to be messy and loud before it settles down. I think,
I'm curious if you've observed something, Oriah, something that I've noticed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we kind of tend to draw these kind of people to us because of our personal beliefs and expectations.
Mm-hmm.
But I've noticed over the years more and more people moving towards what I like to call non-denominational spirituality.
Yes.
And not to minimize the value of the teachings of Jesus and Buddha and Krishna and all of the benevolent spiritual teachers, okay?
Mm-hmm.
No one is necessarily better than another.
Mm-hmm.
They all were teaching about love and forgiveness and compassion, okay? 3 really important things if you want to have a peaceful planet. But I've noticed that more, and I think the reason that they're doing that, and I'm curious as to your opinion, Raya, but I think the reason that people will say, well, I practice non-denominational spirituality, it's because you don't want to get in an argument anymore about my God is better than your God, or my Savior is better than your Savior. But let's talk about happiness and spirituality,
Yeah, but what's funny is even if you say that, if you say it to somebody who is religious or doesn't call themselves religious, but they are, like some Christians don't consider themselves religious.
Right.
Okay. You're still dealing with people who go, oh, so you're still not believing in what I believe, so therefore you're wrong. And
exactly.
Yeah, and you don't believe in my God the way I want to believe in it, and so therefore you're wrong. And so they don't understand that it's all of our creator. It's the creator, it's the mother goddess, it's the grandmother, it's the great I am, it's the intelligent force that has brought us all here. And who are we anyway? Do we even know who we are? If we crack Dennis open and we unlock Oriah, can we configure out an identity? Who is Oriah? Who is Dennis? There is no final, there's no final identity.
And that's where we get into the very title of our podcast, which is Quantum Mysteries.
That's right.
Because when you start thinking of things from a quantum physics perspective, we're not talking about, what do I have to go to the local university and study physics and quantum physics in order to understand this? No, there are layperson ways and versions. And when you just start looking at the sizes of the particles, and I know we touched on this in a previous episode, but, quantum particles are way, 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 way smaller
Mm-hmm.
than atomic particles and
Right.
atoms. If you
Mm-hmm.
remember from basic physics class, I remember, and my physics teacher in 6th grade, 7th grade,
Mm-hmm. Right.
saying, atoms, there's no real mass. They're just little balls of energy. The electrons and the protons and the neutrons inside of that atom are just little balls of energy. So when you get down to the quantum level, they're really, really tiny, but there is no substance that you can think of, including the air that we breathe, where it's not absolutely 100% solid quantum particles.
Right.
There are no gaps in between, like, okay, halfway between here and the moon, there's a 20-mile section where there's no quantum particles.
Right.
They're everywhere.
Right. And they, if I'm not mistaken, I think they blip in and out.
They blip in and out, and they respond to consciousness.
Right. Now, here's the thing. Those atoms are inside of us and inside of you and everyone watching, right? And so the thing is, you're blipping in and out. So when you blip out, where do you go? And so that's the thing. It's like we keep blipping in here to this point of focused reality because this is what we agreed to do as a collective consciousness. All 7 billion people on the planet all decided we're going to blip in at the same time and we're going to keep staying here and we're going to keep working out whatever we got to work out and read and study and learn and play and kill and fight and be born and die. And then we go to sleep every night. Everybody shuts down and everybody has to sleep 6 or 7 hours a night. That's one thing we all have in common beside drinking water and going to the bathroom. And we have to sleep. And when we go to sleep to recharge, where do we go? We go back out and we're somewhere else and we're not here anymore. Just our body is laying here and we're encompassing another version of ourselves doing other things. So what's the dream state? As you know, like, and many of us quander about that. I mean, that is really where to go look if you want to know about what our quantum realities are. It's like, what's happening in the dream state? So we're blipping in and out. Aliens are coming and talking to us and we're trying to figure out like what's real, what's not real. And at this point, what I really personally believe is it doesn't matter because it's not about what's real. It's about who's creating their reality and what are they creating? Like for myself, what am I creating with Dennis? I'm creating this podcast. Okay. And then somebody creates an AI and somebody creates a meme and somebody creates this and that, and they may not be real and some are real. Now it's up to you to decide how that feels for you. If that feels good, if that feels bad, if you don't like it, don't watch it. If you like it, watch it. If it's real or not real, makes no difference as long as it feels good to you and you like what you're seeing and it brings you some kind of edification, joy, expansion, something about you increases your vibration, then enjoy it. So it's not about what's real and not real anymore. And this is where we even go back to religion again, because the faith-based religions are not based on what's real and not real because they have to just take it at face value. They don't know if it's really real. Some of these stories, maybe they're parables, maybe they're not real. Maybe these are just stories told to tell an example for something, but they're not real. So we still don't know what's real. Like I'll give you an example. Jonah going into the mouth of the whale. And then living in there and then leaving the mouth of the whale and coming out to tell the story. So technically, biologically, it doesn't feel very real to me, but it's a parable and it tells a story about perseverance and faith and believing.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. And speaking of the dream state that you brought up, here's a key question that I just love to ask people because most people don't have an answer for it. And that is, okay, have you ever woke up and just said to yourself, gosh, it was so real. I was riding the bicycle down this little street. It looked like I was in old England or something.
Yes.
Like I was in another time or something.
Yes.
So I always like to ask them, okay, so you were seeing things when you were asleep and in your dream state, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, since your eyes were closed, what eyes were you seeing with?
Exactly. That's really, really good. Your third eye and your third ear. And people think they have 6 senses. They have way more senses than 6. Because you have sense of balance.
I remember quite a few years back learning, I think it was from it was either from David Wilcock or Greg Braden, but they mentioned the fact that inside of your pineal gland are the same little cones, vision cones, that your eyeballs have that enable you to see.
Wow, that's right.
So from that extrapolation, I would say when you're in the dream state, the eye that you're seeing with is your pineal gland.
Wow. That could
And that's
very
your
well
window into the cosmos.
be. Mm-hmm.
Interesting
your other
thought
dimensions.
to consider anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Because otherwise, how do you explain? And I'll ask the same question. Okay, so when you're dreaming, if you don't think it's your pineal gland, what eyes are you seeing with?
Yes. And these questions, everything we're discussing on quantum mysteries, from aliens to surgeries to quantum, physics to just the dream state to everything we're talking about, is all for one purpose. And that is to keep your mind open and keep yourself expanded. And I always want to stress over and over not to ever decide there's only one way for anything. There's not one story or one belief system. The only thing I believe in, I believe, Dennis, you feel the same way, is the universal laws, which are we are all one from the same place. We all come from different source places, but our original self comes all from the same soul. It's like an oversoul. And we all arrive here and we're all exploring and discovering ourselves, right? And our universal law is we're here to evolve and learn about ourselves and grow and study our own self-creative natures and what we can express ourselves with and how. It's like it's a university, it's a school. It's like we're here to learn.
It really is.
It really is. I mean, I'm still always learning. I know you are, Dennis.
Many of the metaphysical teachers are referring it to as, the school of Earth.
Yeah.
Well, what did you come here to learn? Well, I believe that when we're in between lifetimes, shall we say, for the sake of this conversation, that you make choices. So, for example, take Mozart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he was writing full orchestra movements. Every instrument, what the piccolo's doing, what the drums are doing, what the trumpets are doing, all that kind of stuff. When he was 6 years old, obviously he came in with musical expertise,
right,
from previous lives or from other timelines.
Mm-hmm. Or downloading.
Because otherwise, how do you explain a musical prodigy like that?
Yeah. And those children exist today more and more than ever before. And that's because these kids are open channels and they're able to receive these downloads that are coming through. I mean, if you watch them on Instagram, you see them all the time, these little kids, babies, toddlers, little kids that are they have these extraordinary abilities. And it's going to become more and more evolved like that. And so the older you are in your generation, if you're a boomer or a Gen X, we always have to remember, just because we lived a majority of our life or a big part of our life without cell phones, internet, things like that, it doesn't mean that we are supposed to stay in that vibration. Yes, keep the things that felt good, of course. We have good memories of not having a cell phone. We have great memories. But to keep in mind that evolution is important, because it's about us releasing our ideologies and our feelings of like what life is supposed to look like in the past. And we're not supposed to believe in that. And we can't open our mind to AI, and we can't feel, bigger conversations like the ones that we're having. It's like you have to keep in mind that in order to stay young, in order to stay vibrant and flexible, and your brain constantly, growing, you have to keep your mind open. Like, Dennis, that's one of the things I really admire about you, is you're always learning and you're bringing things to the table all the time. And I love you came up with an idea. You wanted to share some of the shows that you've been watching that you want to recommend.
Yeah, there's so much to choose from now. It's amazing. Ancient Aliens is an excellent choice. Just about everybody gets the History Channel these days. And they have so many interesting episodes. I mean, you don't have to wait and watch one episode a week, because there are dozens of episodes available on YouTube, for free. Even if your cable company didn't offer the History Channel, but I think they all do now. So that's a good one. And then just the other night, I watched 2 different programs on the Travel Channel.
Right.
One was called UFOs in Alaska.
Yep.
Well, gee, guess what the subject matter of that was?
Yes.
Right? UFOs of Alaska.
Right.
And the other one was about the
Alaska Triangle.
Both airplane and ship disappearances in the Alaska Triangle.
Right, which I loved that
the Bermuda
one.
Triangle.
Yeah.
Same thing happens in Alaska. It happens in the Bermuda Triangle.
Right.
Out in the middle of the ocean. Part of the Alaska Triangle is in the ocean. Part of it is inland.
Yep.
And then there is also, and I just recently learned this a few months ago, fascinated me. And I live here in Nevada. There is a Nevada Triangle.
I was going to say there's also in Skinwalker Ranch, I believe, is in Utah, right?
Correct.
And there is a Skinwalker Ranch, beyond Skinwalker Ranch, the show that comes on afterwards. And
where they go off site. I know.
They have a Miller's Triangle. So these triangles are all, and these are all, triangles that many times the government will go purchase the land and board it up and put fencing so you can't see in. But these triangles all have these vortexes that have strange anomalies and occurrences that happen to the people that are there, the animals, the high levels of radiation, things found in the ground that shouldn't be there, that different frequencies, radio frequencies that they're hearing that you're only supposed to hear between military and satellites and space communication. I think it was 1.6 or 2.6.
That's an excellent point, because I'm glad you brought up Skinwalker Ranch, because listen, folks, if you like science and technology on the Skinwalker Ranch program and beyond Skinwalker Ranch that Oriah just mentioned, they are using the most high-tech, in most cases, frequency recognizing and measuring technology that you've ever seen in your life. I mean, cutting edge stuff. They'll bring in an expert like, well, there's only 8 people in the whole United States that have this kind of equipment and do this kind of work. We brought them here to Skinwalker Ranch. We're trying to figure out what the heck's going on here at Skinwalker Ranch. And they detect things that they won't detect in your backyard, for example.
And they discovered that there is a bubble. There's a circular bubble that is 2,000 feet up in elevation and I think a couple hundred feet down into the earth and creates this bubble. And what they discovered is with all their sensitive devices, there's all sorts of anomalies. For instance, the GPS, when there's like a drone or something coming by with a GPS, the GPS goes haywire the second it hits, it loses its signal, and it also starts sending a GPS signal to other locations that are not. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to stay on track. And so that's just one example of many of the different experiments they've done.
It's such a fascinating show.
Yeah.
On a recent episode, speaking of the drones, if you recall, they were trying to fly a drone into the invisible dome.
Right.
And it would stop and wouldn't go any further.
Yeah, it kept hitting
on the outside of the dome, and the invisible dome.
And it was being recorded, so they could actually see the drone trying, and you could see that it kept getting pushed back. And there was another drone that was flying over here on the side, and it was, the operator had a VR headset, and he was watching, and it was filming the drone that was getting stopped in midair. And it was right in the measurement of that bubble. So what is that? These are portals. These are I guess you would call them a form of wormholes or a time traveling device. I guess you would say
a portal of some sort. Sure.
Yeah. Where animals and beings can enter and exit out of. And I truly believe in the Mesa, there was a ship that came through and then crashed into it. And then the natives covered it up. And that's why they're so afraid of it, because yeah. And it looks like, and they found carbon that looks like there was a fire inside the Mesa, deep underground within 200 feet down into the Mesa with their tunnels and all their equipment. They tested and pulled out carbon, which shows that there was a fire. So that means that it could have been the fire from the crash, or there could have been a fire from the explosion to try to get the rocks, which looked like it tumbled, big boulders, and covered this big ship many, many hundreds of years ago, probably.
Fascinating. You know, I mean, and as high tech, and these people on this show, by the way, folks, on Skinwalker Ranch, they are top in their field.
Yeah.
There's a team of about 6 or 7 of them, and they figure out, well, what can we do? What new experiment can we create? And what kind of hardware do we need?
Right.
And computers and software and analysis equipment in order to test it this way.
Right.
And so these people are top scientists. They're not just, from wherever, Podunk, Idaho, and I love Idaho, but, these people are really, really smart people. And when you watch these shows, it's like, boy, oh boy, if I was standing right there with them, I wouldn't have any more answers than they have.
Oh, I mean, Riz and I talk all the time how we wish to God we were on that show in that in that location with them, like that would be a dream come true. And we love the tech leader or the scientific leader, which is Taylor and
Yes.
Travis Taylor, and he's an astrophysicist, and he is just
He's a brilliant guy, isn't he?
He's brilliant, and he's an explorer, and he'll try anything, and he's so smart, and he figures everything out. And Eric, his partner in crime, they work together, and Eric is a phenomenal scientist, but working with electronics to like study and measure these anomalies. So
and then they've got cameras all over that property. They're watching everything up in the sky, down on the ground, all the time, day and night, 24/7.
Yeah, they have heat sensors, and they have, I think, night vision and all sorts of things. So if you guys get a chance, you should definitely try watching Skinwalker Ranch. The reason it's called Skinwalker Ranch is because the natives called the animals that they saw that were unnatural, and they did not match the regular animals in the area. This was strange animals doing strange behavior, and not in a good way. Many, many years ago, they called them skinwalkers because they felt like they were kind of transforming themselves or changing their skins, like they weren't from here. And many people I've talked to said they're scared to watch the show because of the name, and they don't realize it's heavily scientific.
It is,
and it's really
very
just,
scientific.
It's just breaking down and trying to understand what a portal is. And that's really what we're doing, is we're trying to get to the bottom of how does this portal work? What is it? Where does it come from? And Bigelow, as we know, owned this site prior, and for whatever reason, he was run off. I think they were there for about 10 years. And then
they couldn't figure out, as much money as he had, bazillionaire.
Yeah.
They couldn't figure out what was going on that property. And prior to Bigelow, the U.S. government occupied that property, and they conducted all of their tests, which for some reason, and they just mentioned this again the other night, no access. It's not public information. So whatever the U.S. government discovered on that property, it's all still top secret.
Yeah, and they have filmed.
What are they hiding?
They filmed black ops and helicopters flying across, and flybys by military personnel that don't show up on their air radars. They don't see them, and yet there they are. And they filmed it. They filmed the black helicopters, military helicopters going overhead. So. Yeah, this is definitely, the government knows about this. I for whatever reason, they're not stopping it. And it could be maybe they want to have us discover it. Maybe this is their way of a slow rollout. We wonder, because they recruited Travis to come work at the top level in the government at, I forget the name of the department, but it was in like research in ufology. And I forget the name. If I remember the name, I'll put it in the description. But he worked there for about a year. So I'm curious why he didn't stay on. Why did he leave after his tenure was over? I also find it interesting he worked for the government, which I thought was interesting, that he's working for the government and also this private sector. And what does he know? And does he know more than what he's saying? Or is he like sent by the government? Like there's all these questions, like why is Travis doing this? Like, why is he getting away with it?
Right. And there are so many whistleblowers, so-called, coming forward now. I mean, there have been several actually congressional sessions where, some of the whistleblowers are asked very pointed questions. And in some cases, they do respond, well, I'm under a non-disclosure agreement, and I'd have to talk to you about that in a private session.
Right.
In these congressional hearings that are aired. So it's like, okay, so there's something going on behind the scenes there.
Yeah.
That's significant. Otherwise, they wouldn't be commanded by the government. No, you can't talk about that.
Right.
Why is that?
Well, if you want to see the cutting edge whistleblowers, where they go, what channels they go to and actually like come clean and share all their secrets and their military personnel, is News Nation is one of them. And that is with Ross Colhart. And then I believe there's, I always forget his name, the guy with the beard. He was also at the congressional hearings and they both of their names always escape me for whatever reason. But he worked, the older gentleman worked with John Lear originally. He was the journalist. Do you remember who I'm talking about?
I remember it. I can't think of the
Yeah, isn't
name
that
either.
weird? Like when it just like
Yeah.
blocks out and you just I cannot remember it. But and I'm sure if you guys remember, you could put it in the comments. But so and I'll also put that in the description. So yeah, there's channels that you can go to that you will hear real witness disclosures.
In fact, another one that I'll mention that has been a regular off and on the Ancient Aliens show, his name is Michael Salla.
Okay.
Spelled S as in Sam, Alla. And he has his own podcast. And he talks to a lot of insiders and whistleblowers. And sometimes they'll disguise their voice, or they'll have like a mask. And then he disguises their voice because they don't want to be, discovered who they really are. And the things that they disclose are absolutely fascinating.
Yes.
And I actually got to meet Michael Salla in person a couple times, because the first 7 years of the 4 to 5 day annual UFO conference called Contact in the Desert.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the headliners that are on Ancient Aliens, folks, were there for all 7 of the years, which was 2012 through 2019. And they shut it down for a couple of years during COVID, but it's back and active again. It takes place in the Southern California desert out near Palm Springs in a place called Indian Wells. And they extended it from a 4-day event. It's now a 5-day event. But let me tell you something. Oh, I don't know anybody that believes in UFOs,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk about it to anybody because they'll all think I'm nuts.
Right.
Last year that I attended in 2019, there were over 5,000 people there.
Yeah. I believe
And I met people from all over the world.
Well,
I met people from Australia and England and Germany.
I remember who the names are. It's George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell, of course.
There you go.
I don't know why I had like one
That's
of those
okay.
brain farts.
You got it.
I couldn't remember.
It came through. Came through.
Yeah. So, wow, this has been such an interesting talk. And
yes,
Dennis, if there's anything else you want to add, I think today I just wanted to kind of just touch base on all these little areas, because I wanted people to get kind of an idea of why this show exists. And what we're doing is we're showing you ways that you can keep your mind open and go into other places without feeling nervous or scared. And especially for people who are new to this conversation, because it helps you to understand how to see things without fear that there's, doom and gloom and scary, conspiracies and things like that.
Well, and I think too that people that aren't even willing to accept that UFOs are real, let's say, then it's really a stretch for them to believe or understand that people are actually taken on board, either willingly or without their knowledge, but still in a benevolent way.
Right.
And then, as we mentioned in a previous episode, there have been movies out about real occurrences.
Yes.
Like Travis Walton.
Yes.
Fire in the Sky. Yes. Paramount Studios made a movie about that, and that had some pretty scary parts in it as far as what they did to him when he was on board. So that can scare people. It's like, well,
right.
And then they think all aliens are bad.
You know what I really want to talk about with you on one of our future shows is I want to talk about Close Encounters and Steven Spielberg and that whole entire, it is such a huge story of the fact that this really happened, and they approached Steven Spielberg to film it, and who was the players involved and how the government was involved, and the story of all of that is so fascinating. And
it is, and it's not all, everybody thinks, it's just all science fiction. But if you remember the French fellow, the scientist from France, that was one of the lead actors, well, he was fashioned after a real UFO investigator.
Yes.
From France.
Yes.
And Ancient Aliens did a segment on that back a few weeks ago. And it's like, no, he was a real guy.
Right.
So a lot of the things in that film weren't just it wasn't everything made up.
Right.
For science fiction. There were real people that were being depicted.
Right. Because
they have in real life expertise in those areas.
So I think the name of the French guy is Jacques. Is that how you say it?
I believe so, yes.
Jakqueues, and his last name is Vallee.
That's him.
Jacques
Vallee.
Vallee.
Yes.
So yeah, wow, this has been really fun and exciting. I just, we're just getting warmed up, and this is just us getting back together after many years of not filming our episode due to many circumstances. And now we're back, and we have so much to talk about and catch up on, so many stories, and we're just warming up. And so as you guys tune in each time, there's going to be different topics we'll discuss and break down and give you things to look at and places to go and things to watch. And this is my cat with her big fluffy tail. And she wants to say hi. And your cute dog is in the other room, from what I understand.
Yeah, he's patiently laying down at my feet right now.
Oh, is he? Does he want to say hello?
Mochi, do you want to come over here and come up here on my lap? Huh? Oh, he's laying down there. He's looking up at me. No, I'm comfortable.
No, I'm good. Well, next time we'll say hi to everybody.
One other thing I want to mention, Oriah, is don't think that we're dropping the ball. We were trying to include in each segment progressively working our way through Oriah's book, her new book.
Oh, yes.
Can you hold that up to the camera again real quick if you got one handy there?
Thank you for reminding me.
Yes. So this is Alien Upgrades. I had the benefit of reading an advanced copy before it was published. It's now published. You can buy it on Amazon. And so we're working our way through the book in this podcast, and we kind of skipped from where we were. We'll pick up, probably next week from where we left off.
Yes.
But we will deviate a little bit like this sometimes because there are so many exciting things going on in ufology, as it's often called.
Yes.
And so we want to keep you posted on, what are some interesting shows that I might be able to tune into tonight? Well, if you've never watched, I'm going to invite you to use your intuition. Okay. If you've never watched even one segment of Ancient Aliens, you don't have to wait until the next episode comes on the History Channel. Just go to YouTube and type in Ancient Aliens full episodes and pick a title that intrigues you.
Right.
Pick a title. Well, now that sounds interesting. I think I'll watch that one.
Right.
And fasten your seatbelt.
That's right. This is a never-ending story, and it's so, so good. And I'm so happy that it feels like this current wave we're on, because it comes and goes, and I know there's been lots of waves in history. This wave we're on feels like we keep getting closer to true disclosure, but it's getting to the point where the public is taking over. It feels like private sectors and businesses are taking over. People are starting to get more involved because the government is so tied up with all their back end deals and their private business dealings and trying to control the technology. And they're trying to avoid World War III with the different countries, and all the things that are happening in the government is tying them up to the point where we feel like they're just never going to tell us the truth. So it feels like the public sector is starting to step in, and people like you and I and everybody else who's interested is putting their 2 cents, sending their videos and photos, and everyone's starting to talk about it more and more and bringing it to the foreground. So we know that this is actually real. We're not it's a phenomenon that we're willing to all explore together and make it real and call them in, actually.
One other thing too, where we can direct folks, if you're skeptical about, I don't even know anybody personally that's had a sighting. Go to the MUFON website. That's MUFON.
Right.
That stands for Mutual UFO Network, MUFON. And you can, it's alphabetized by state, folks. Click on your home state.
Yeah.
And you'll see right up until last night or this morning or 2-3 hours ago, oh my gosh, there was 4 sightings in the last 2 hours right here in my home state. And you'll be amazed. And when you look at the thousands and thousands of sightings, usually the bigger the state, well, some states have more concentration.
Yeah, there's
for whatever reason.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's more UFO activity in some places than others.
And we're finding out because there's mineral content sometimes within the mountain, like Mount Shasta. There's certain types of frequencies and energy that's being emitted from different crystals like Sedona that has a higher energy field. Maybe it's easier to fly in their gravitational fields, as that's how they travel. And so maybe we don't know what the reasons are, but there are hotspots around the world. And this is what Dennis is talking about.
You mentioned Mount Shasta just a few nights ago on Beyond Skinwalker Ranch.
That's
they took all of their equipment to Mount Shasta.
Yes. And they found that there was a higher electromagnetic frequency coming and emitting from the soil and from the mountain.
Yes.
And that has probably something to do with that feeling people get. And there's a calming effect. And also, who knows what it's doing to the gravitational field of the ships that use that to travel.
That's right.
So yeah, there's lots here. And this is just a never ending wonderful topic. To me, it is all positive. Dennis and I always get so excited talking about this because it's not bad news for us. This is the best news ever. We really want to see these, upgrades and this intelligent life force to continue to move and evolve our world and help us evolve as humans and to better technology, inner technology and outer technology.
And I see, and I think you would probably agree with me, but when we talk about alien upgrades, okay, because what the upgrades usually involve is enhancement of telepathy, empathy,
yes,
remote viewing, things like that. Just all of a sudden, someone is able to do it.
Right.
When you really think about it from a spiritual perspective, those are really spiritual talents.
Yes.
Spiritual achievements.
Yes.
That we just haven't accepted that in a realm of possibility, but when it lands in somebody's lap because they're taken aboard a ship and all of a sudden they have this psychic ability or something,
right?
Then it's pretty hard to deny. It's like, well, yeah, it was overnight. I had this new ability.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you view it rather than as something scary, as a gift from God, if you will,
right?
Now you have the ability to be more compassionate with other people.
Truly.
You might help someone that you might not have helped otherwise. And it just makes the world a better place.
And sending out the positive energy and positive vibes wherever you go, including even on this podcast, if you feel comforted by what we're saying or there's any kind of good feelings. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. That's what it's about for us, is we want everybody to feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more relaxed in this conversation. So if we could do our part to bring that to you, we hope we help somebody out there feel a little bit better tonight. And we would love to see you next week. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Please tell us where you're coming from, where you're watching from in the comments below. And
if there's anything that you'd like to have us talk about that we haven't addressed yet, mention that in the comments and we'll try to include it in the next episode.
Also, I have a little surprise gift for anybody who's watching. If we reach, I'm going to say 50 comments, and that includes your own. If you want to repeat comment, make sure that you're not repeating the sentence, but you could repeat how would I say that? You can comment in different ways.
Further insights.
Yes.
Further insights.
If we get to 50, what I will do is I will do a raffle and I will pick somebody from the comments and I will send you my book. And what I'll do is I'll reply to you and say you have been chosen. And I will give you the email where you can email your mailing address and I will mail you out a free signed copy.
That's exciting, Oriah.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
So one of you out there has an opportunity to get a free copy of Oriah's book. Yay!
That's awesome. Well, thanks everybody so much. And thank you for joining us tonight. And say hello to your pets for us. And love and peace to everybody. And we'll talk to you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.